So it's,
This going up for sale, just
It's 7 o'clock.
Introduce yourself.
Call the meeting to order, please all rise. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to approve the agenda.
did you want to add
Yeah.
Metamora Country Days fireworks on new business as line item number 2, please?
Change to the agenda now. Take a motion to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'm sorry.
And moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Police report,
In your packet.
fire report.
So for the month of May, we had 26 total runs. We had one fire, which was downwires in the village, and 2 medical emergencies in the village. Yeah, so 8 fires, but I didn't really come up with 7. We had 2 false alarms at Murphy School. They did fire drills that day, those 2 days, and the officer got the call for the alarm off. I had false alarm in Thomas, 2 down wires, a gas leak, and an over investigation, and 22 medicals and 6 PIs.
You were a little busy. County commissioner's not here. Planning commission.
We didn't have anything on our agenda other than appoint a new person to our committee. She just lives up on Pleasant Street. And I've already lost her name.
Claire.
Claire, thank you.
Thanks,
Mike. But that was our meeting.
We did already.
Yeah, we already
That's right. Okay. DDA. We talked over a few things about the park, but most of the talk was all the new.
I made 3 copies, so you guys can kind of share them, because there's a lot of
Basically what the DDA is gonna pay for new entrance signs and stuff. The other ones are all getting pretty shabby looking, and so they're gonna replace them. They're not
So like as you're
getting too gaudy or nothing.
as you're coming into town, you'll see this one. We're just it's basically this sign. It won't have the cursive though. It'll just be print. And then if you flip to the next page, there's the one out on 24th. You know, the one that people can't read.
Can't see.
Yeah, so that's what that one would look like. And then if you flip, there's one for Metamora Park. And I think it actually shows you up at there's the ones that we would add on to 7 Ponds, north and south, out on 24 with an arrow heading to the village. There's Metamora Community Park in there, and then we have one for Harmer Park. And they kind of all tie in together. So I just wanted to show you guys.
And basically, I guess we should almost approve what they're gonna do, but.
Is there one for Harmer Park or is there 2? Because kind of after we purchased this property over here, I didn't know if we were gonna have a sign over here now or just on North Oak Street.
I think we just talked about one, however, I'm sure we could
I could have it added on.
add on.
I mean, that's just a thought.
I like that idea though. That way people understand that the park
actually could maybe hook it right to the fencing this year and stick it up a little over the fence.
Yeah.
It would be,
Okay. So we'll have two, one that's on North Oak and then one that's on High. Okay. That was most of our conversation. We talked about the garden, doing the garden.
yeah. We talked about that,
And I think that was approved last village
Yeah.
council meeting, wasn't it?
yeah.
And I think the general consensus on that, so I didn't mean to take away Janet from, but I think the general consensus is Leah DeBella, who's talking directly with them, wait till after the, country days. So things, I think that's a good idea myself. Things calm down a little bit and they can get busy on that part of it, so. Isn't that what the consensus was?
Yep.
I'm not sure.
So do we need to approve their signs?
Would be a good idea. I like it.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, we approve the signage as presented.
Okay,
With the addition of the additional Harmon Park?
Correct.
I thought that's what I heard.
In addition to.
okay, so moving second to give the DDA approval of what they wanna do with our signage for the parks and, coming in on 24, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Attorney report, probably all down below. Council communications.
One thing I really have is last week our auditors were in town, they did our annual audit, we should be getting that report. Usually takes about a month, they go back and they finish tying up all loose ends, but everything went well. I think that's it.
Where are we at on the wells? I know we kind of left it, wasn't it, that Mr. Denney was
It's
gonna-
on the agenda.
Okay, sorry.
Is that okay? And under unfinished business?
And any word on the dredging of the sewer ponds?
No, in fact, I was gone for a week and then Brian was gone for this past week, so I have not touched base with Brian in a while. But I do know that he was reaching back out to Eagle, asking where we stand on it, the last time we spoke. And I haven't gotten an email from Eagle, and usually I've been getting CC on them.
Okay.
Drainage ditch down here too, I have talked with Edwards and R&M, and they both kind of looked at it, but now they would like to have a meeting when they're both together down there and me to walk it and make sure everybody's on the same page.
So it was brought to my attention that one of the homeowners along there has been dumping brush and stuff in there. So I just thought I would.
I haven't seen it personally myself, but
Since
yeah.
you guys were down there and
Right.
looked. It happened after you guys were down there.
Well.
So,
we'll see if we can find the spot.
it should be obvious,
Tag
I
it.
think.
I think I know which house you're referring to, so.
So that's still project trying to work on a little bit. Anything else? Need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You will notice, just so you know, you'll notice that there is no water and sewer report in there. And we didn't get it by the end of the day, so it's still not in there. But like I said, Brian was out of state all last week, so he did a conference for work, so. That's it.
Okay. Guess we'll go to the first public time.
So the most important thing we need to talk about today is obviously the application that is in your meeting packet, which I had FOIA'd that information April. Didn't get it till today until it was in the packet. So, that's a little interesting. And also it was dated April. So at the top of it's the date of April, and then it was signed last week. So You know, that's possible FOIA violation right there. But what is really interesting to me is that last week, it was on the 12th. I saw this on the 12th. It appeared on the 11th. A Metamora, Michigan gang, Tina, was sharing information about the festival. Apparently, it had already been decided that the vendors in Harbour Park open at 11 instead of 9. The parade is at 1 instead of 11. And then the parking that's in Metamora Community Park, it says next to the Lions Field, will close at 5 on Friday and Saturday. So this hadn't even come before any of you. No one had decided anything, but Tina's sharing information that this is already basically happening. But then obviously I got this at the last minute today, so that complaint that is on the top today, I rushed that through, so there's probably some errors in there. It's probably not my best work. I literally grabbed them off the printer and came here, so. But let's look at, basically I only had time to do lists, right? Let's look at this. We got 5 pages this year instead of 3. We have this application on the front that's still got spelling errors, and really it's just grossly inadequate information. Then we have the insurance certificate, so Mr. Denney can approve that this year or not approve it. We still have this map from past years that you can't even read. And then this time we've got overhead pictures of the parks, but all we have are like a few dots or a few X's on there to show vendors. We don't have any location of tents. We don't have any location of restrooms. We don't have any location of parking. We don't have handicap parking. We don't have all sorts of things that absolutely should be in there. So let me go through some of my lists here. Oh, and because I didn't have time to add this, where is the coordination with the Lions? Lions have a big part of that festival, and I get that a lot of their stuff happens on their own property, but it all spills over. It's one big old festival. Have we seen their insurance certificate? Do we know their plans? Do we know what activities? How late is that beer tent open? All those kinds of things should be coordinated. Is there going to be a huge, long snow fence in front of there? Because I was just watching my dash cam footage today. I watched it several times over. And that snow fence that goes right in front and it keeps going, that is a huge hazard right there. If the public needed to escape that area, how are they going to get through there? Again, that is why I've urged you again and again and again to do not let them do that and make them do bike fence. Those are sections that they call it bike fence because it looks like you can put bikes in it. But you just rent it. They bring it on a truck. You put it out there. It's really easy. And that is so much safer for going in and out. The other main thing about that is, when I was reviewing my footage today, I noticed yet again that the hydrants on North Oak Street were blocked, several of them. That one in front of the Lions Hall was completely blocked by that snow fence for yards and yards around it. It would have been very hard to access that hydrant. There was a car, the hydrant that's right in front of the park there was a car about 5 feet from there. And then there was another one that had caution tape and rebar around it, potentially endangering firefighters if they had to access it. So, in that plan, I did not see any fire lanes delineated. By the way, where is our fire chief and where's our police chief? They should absolutely be reviewing this and telling us their plans as well. Even a whole bunch of things. I've got a list of 11 things from your own plan that were not included here. Locations, it is really not that hard to just make a map of this village and say restrooms are here, this is there, whatever. Really not hard. But the main thing here is safety. How many police are going to be on duty? Last year we had big problems with parking. Huge problems with parking. Is that going to be fixed? Did they learn anything? How many of them are around? Where are first aid stations, EMS stations, any of those things that are very necessary when you have a festival of people keep claiming 10,000 people? Tina, you keep looking at your watch rather than listening, and this is really information, or good information for you. I get that you don't care. I get that you don't. But I have more expertise than anyone else in this room at running this kind of event. And you don't listen year after year after year. Main thing is you pass this today, you are choosing again to have an unsafe event for the public. Yes, you haven't had liability claims. Yes, it's been going on a long time. Those are terrible excuses that are not going to stand up in court. You need to send this back, demand that they actually make a plan. It should be, I would say, for this size festival, 25 pages or more, at least. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Public?
You.
I just want to let everyone on the board know that I believe that we have reached all our obligations that we had discussed. the sidewalk that was torn up, we had to report, the road on Barrows that was torn up to access the water and sewer has been repaved, and the handrail is in place on the steps. So, thank you to everyone, hopefully everybody can enjoy it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Any other public time? If not, we'll move on to unfinished business, I guess. Water main extension.
I have in front of you a draft that I'm prepared to recommend that the village council approve for submission to, WIH. I still would like to wait on the vote until next month. This draft is after revisions that were done after I talked to the engineer. He did convince me to change some things. I switched it from an easement to a permit for when they're putting their pipe in our road right away. And as I mentioned before, we've removed the provision for a chlorine station building that they were gonna put in our road right away near the entrance of Jamestown. For the reasons we talked about last month, we didn't think that was appropriate. I kept the connection fee in for $150,000. I put more clarity and more detail in terms of when we get reimbursement from WIH for expenses that the village incurs. I dealt more with flexibility in terms of if there's a problem with the water service that's going to them, how long do we have to act? I extended the time that we have to act because I wanted to give us more flexibility to be able to do things ourselves. They still have to get our approval to access our system. We still have to be able to be there and to be present and supervise during those events. And those are the main things. And I will, before next month's meeting, early on, I will give you a red line version too, so that you can more easily see where I've changed the document. But this is the version I'm prepared to recommend next month that you approve and submit to them. So, and I think the other item on the agenda is the well item, which I'm prepared to address that too.
Okay. What'd they say when you told them we didn't really wanna do
I haven't heard anything from them yet, so. On the water end of it, we did do some more checking on possible well drillers that were located closer. We know there are not very many well drillers that do 12-inch wells. And there was one local, Kirkland looked at it for a while, and then today gave me a firm thumbs down who was not going to submit a bid. But I talked to the folks that I think they were gonna use anyway, over in Davison, and I talked to him later this afternoon, and he said he was actually working on it at the time. He did plan on submitting a bid, and I was hoping to get it in before tonight's meeting, but he did not. So I have to believe that somebody who's located within 15 miles can give us a better bid than somebody on the other side of the state.
Yeah.
But
the other side of the state, you're actually putting them up some more than a motel room while they're doing most of the job.
so I would like to wait a few more days this week to let him get his a quote in to see if maybe we can. The potential is to save thousands of dollars, and I think it's probably worth a few more days to give him that shot.
So should we get approval contingent on?
I would not. I still think we have to look at the quote. I mean, I'm not gonna approve a quote unseen. So I think you still need to see it. And honestly, I didn't really want him to rush the quote today. This is not a small project. He said he was looking at option A and option B. One of them was you wanted to extend the existing building structure to cover the new well thing. And the other option he looked at was the possibility of making its own separate one. So he probably was gonna put both options in his proposal.
I think what Janet was saying is contingent upon like your approval, Brian, the water guy, instead of coming back next month to the council.
Right.
If it comes in less than peerless.
I still hesitate to have you approve a quote.
If we need to really push it, we could probably have a special meeting maybe.
Right.
This is a short, easy
Right.
look, and you can do it quickly. If you want.
Sounds like we are making a little progress on things. I'll just, I wanna get it moving. Okay. Looks like new business. No more Country Days application.
Well, the application's in the packet, I did get it last week. So, it's for you guys to debate on, I don't know what you wanna do.
Does that application come from the chamber?
As far as like the Lions Hall, I don't think we have much control over that really. It's all on their own property,
There's a separate entity
they,
altogether.
they gotta have, they're doing all the insurance, I could get copies of some of the stuff. But even the beer tent, that's all special license, special event license through the liquor commission and, you know,
State Sheriff's Department and everything else, so.
Can't order it before you have that. So probably this parade route needs to be redone, right? Cause you can't really see that.
It must be on that copy, cause the original that I have is a little clearer.
Okay.
So it must just be when it scanned it
Scanned
and
it out.
copied, sorry.
Do we know who the vendors are gonna be?
There's a list of some of their vendors, I believe.
Okay,
But they don't have them all yet.
Right. They're still trying to get more vendors, they're still trying to.
how long do they have to apply?
I have no clue.
Okay.
I think they take people right up too close to the event. But I know they have listed here Sparkles the Clown, Oopsie the Clown. And then it says various vendors in Harmon Park and on the Bloom Field. And it talks about J Septic, doing the porta johns throughout the village, North Branch rental for the tents up in the balloon field. Trash services provided by Rick Ryan.
So all the vendors will be in Harmer Park? Are they also down at the Lions Hall?
The Lions has their own
That's
vendors.
They have their own vendors, okay.
Yeah, everything on the Lions property is totally separate. It's
Do they
their-
give you any kind of account or a listing of what's there so that, okay,
They do it in the newspaper.
okay.
They advertise,
So when they put it in,
Yeah.
you, okay,
they go together with the chamber and they advertise together.
okay. So people get that, they'll know then what's where.
I guess my question is, Mr. Denney, can you tell if their insurance slip is appropriate?
In an event like this, you'd want at least $1 million coverage, which they have.
Do we have a first aid tent somewhere? Is that over here in Harvard?
It's,
So we're in the corner of the White Horse parking lot.
okay, right
It's
before
the
Hamlet
big
Park.
motor home.
Big motor
Yep,
home that's
I know,
manned
okay,
by
I
the
remember that.
fire department.
But I believe they don't put it on their stuff because it's on private property. But they do list it on their map when they publicize it.
Any bands playing during?
Lions
I
Club.
don't know.
I know the Lions Club does it. Usually they have a couple instrumental type bands, things over there. I haven't heard whether they're gonna have any on the stage or not. And if you guys want more information, what more do you want me to ask for that? Or how do you want me to revamp it? August 22nd, 23rd? Is that, sorry. I believe it's the 22nd, 23rd, I can't recall the date right off the top of my head.
23rd.
It's the 22nd. Right, because 22nd is the balloon launch, and then Saturday is the full day of events.
Is there a set time that the tent's set up on Saturday morning here? Do they have to be here at a certain time or be set up by a certain time? And August 23rd in the morning?
I was just looking to see if they actually had the time set on here. I know it says earlier.
Just as time of setup?
Earlier in the week
That's the tents up,
on the balloon field.
right,
Okay.
but they pull up in the morning and they start setting up in our park.
That Saturday morning, right. I mean, is there a time they have to, do they know when they're going to be in by or?
I really don't know, I'm sure it's on the vendor application. I have not looked at their vendor application
Oh,
that they
okay.
have for their vendors.
Where does the vendor application come from? Is that from?
Chamber.
Okay.
They have food vendor applications, and all their food vendors do get inspected by Lapeer County Health Department. I do know that, he's come out, checked cleaning stations, cleanliness, they checked the thermometer, food safety.
And we basically keep the railroad bed open for emergency
Correct.
travel, for EMS, police, whatever, you know.
I guess I would make a point though that the fire hydrants are accessible. I don't know how, cause I know tape goes up and
Right.
tape gets ripped down,
So
so
people park wherever they want, it seems like,
they do.
it's a mess.
Where they would fit.
And you know that.
My first one. Yes. So,
Yeah,
But yeah, we can talk with
some of them, they thought they could, they park on top of a pickup.
But yeah, we can definitely have a conversation with the police department and see if they can try to help with that situation.
And do they kind of guide people walking back and forth if they're coming across the road from the balloon launch and stuff?
I mean, at busy times they're down there, but other than that, they're not out on the foot directing people. And I think that's why they're changing the time and why they're changing to the closing off of the parking lot at 5 o'clock, is to try to help alleviate some of the congestion in town. Chief Davis was telling me that he had talked to the chamber about that, and that's one of their hopes, is that it would actually help alleviate, the backup going all the way to 24. Shutting down the parking at, 5 o'clock and telling people they have to use the shuttle bus then. So,
Where's the shuttle come from?
Hunters Creek Church, and I believe they're also making a circle, he said, and using the township property also.
Yeah.
And didn't the church up the street used to allow parking up there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Hunters Creek has a pretty large parking lot.
So he said the shuttle bus will be making just a big loop basically from Hunters Creek Church, coming into town, dropping people off, going out to the township, picking up or dropping people off, and just kind of circling back around.
just one bus.
Yep. Well, I don't know how many buses they have, I believe.
They did 2, I know last year they had 2.
Yeah. It seems like it's quite continuous.
Yeah, it did seem.
What's the council's pleasure here?
No matter what we do, it's not gonna be right. So, let's move forward with it.
So what is that, your motion is to move forward and accept their application?
Yes, please.
Is that you, Liz?
Yeah.
I wonder if we should at least add something about subject to not blocking fire hydrants.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And that's, it's difficult.
Right.
But,
Do you want that in their actual motion?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? that?
Yes.
Did you get a second? Yes, I did.
Yep, yeah, but
So this did.
Okay, go. Been moved and seconded to go ahead with the additions to a little bit of changes we gotta add to it. Go ahead with the application for more days. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? It passed. The fireworks, Saturday night.
We need to approve the use of the property of up at the lagoons.
Yep.
And then the purchase of products.
We normally purchase some of the product. We can't pay them to be doing it, we have to purchase product.
Right, it always goes directly
So
to
that's
them.
what we do, we purchase product for the show. And we get an actual receipt, and
Yeah.
they've got all the state and federal licenses, and with it being up in around the sewer lagoon, inside the fencing. And we don't allow any parking up the driveway, nowhere near it, so that's all good and secure. They even, the new company being, I didn't do it last year, wanted me to come up and inspect it. As they started setting up to make sure I agreed with what they were gonna do, so.
You got right to doing the video? Yes.
So, and they were top notch, I thought. So,
So first off, we need to authorize the use of the lagoon property for the fireworks show.
I'll make that motion.
Which one of you want it?
Liz.
okay, moved and seconded, we can use the sewer lagoon for the fireworks to try again this year, some more days. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now, we need to know,
It was-
village is gonna purchase product again, I forget how much we spent last year.
Was it 35 or 3? I couldn't remember.
I don't know how, I haven't heard back from them on how much the price has really jumped, but the Lions Club has been told they may have to really step up on what they're, because of the increase. I don't know if the product made it here before the tariff hit it.
I'll make a motion, Tina, to approve, is it 3,500? Or how?
I don't know the exact number yet, but I'll tell you what, if you go for 35 and we only have to purchase 3,000, I don't think you guys will complain that I'm not spending as much.
Make it up to.
Up
Yeah,
to.
up to.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Moving seconded.
Wait, who seconded?
I will.
No,
The other jibber jabber, I thought,
Yeah.
okay.
now it has been.
Been moved and seconded to, the purchase of up to $3,500 worth of fireworks for the show. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Oh, next we're up to public time.
Mr. Denney, do you know how much insurance you have to have on a bounce house in Northville or Novi? Any idea? It's $5 million if you have an event with bounce houses. So I'd like to know why $1 million is good enough at an event that has had, no one answered the question about monster trucks, by the way. I asked it last meeting too. We had monster trucks last year. We got like a couple dozen houses worth of propane out in the field. We got people walking in amongst balloons. And all we have is $1 million of insurance. So I'd like to hear more guidelines about that and why that is so low for that type of event. Now, John Clark, you said you got no control over the stuff the Lions do. Have you ever read the township outdoor assembly ordinance? Because if you had an outdoor assembly ordinance here, you do have control. But when they're advertising together, you're taking on I think you potentially are taking on liability of what's going on over there too. It is, I don't think you can say you have no control. And typically, in a normal place, you'd have a fire marshal who would go out and inspect and say, no, you cannot put all that snow fencing in front of your stuff, and you've got to clear this out here, and you've got to have these walkways, you've got to have fire lanes. Not one of you made sure there's going to be a fire lane from that field, the launch field, and out. Because last year, I have a feeling some of those were blocked. Some of those routes out were blocked. So, fire lanes, not on the map, nothing like that. The tents aren't on the map. Lloyd, you said something similar last year about no matter what you do, it's not going to be right. That is not in any way true. You guys need to step it up about 45 steps up in your safety, get some knowledge. I've been asking you for years now. There are ways to do this right. Had I seen this and it was about 30 pages, you got fire lanes, you got good maps, you got all the information that you guys are asking about there in the application, and I looked at it and said, you know what, if somebody in my neighborhood had to go in an ambulance, we got people that could get him out. Because there's also the question of, our emergency people are up on that field, right? How many are actually on duty in the township? How many police are on duty out in the greater township? How many EMS? Is our ambulance up there? What's the next closest one? These are all questions as well. And as far as police directing people across that parking area in front of Metamora Community Park, my video shows there were no police at a prime time, which was between 7 and 8 p.m. on Saturday night. There's nobody out there directing traffic or crossing people across. And some people are running across, their cars jumping out, all kinds of stuff. So I suggest you watch that video and make sure, really think about that. And there are people parked all the way up Metamora Road, and I was doing like 13 miles an hour, you can see on the sign, trying not to hit people getting in and out of their cars coming down there. This spills out into the township. The township has an outdoor assembly ordinance. And you guys won't pass one, of course, because then you'd have to do a much better job reviewing this stuff. So a couple things, music in the park concerts are about to step up. What are the safety measures there? I've been asking for years. We got any? We got any paths to the restroom, keep people safe? We got any, designated parking areas or anything? Any fire extinguishers? So Mr. Holden says that he believes his obligations are done. Has the inspection been completed by the supervisor or the folks at the township who do the inspections? Has that been cleared? I'd like to know. And then in your packets is yet another complaint about Nick Holden breaking the law in the Village Kubota UTV. So it would be nice if he could get some instruction about driving and be told you have to follow these things. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a metro park. They have UTVs out there. They have ORVs that are part of their fleet there, and those folks drive very slowly and very carefully. I've never made a complaint about one of them. So, I think you guys did a very irresponsible thing here. I think you guys just lack knowledge. Just like I don't know about plumbing, I do know about events. But you guys don't know about events because you don't have the professional experience there, and you haven't been willing in more than a year to get that knowledge. I think that's disgusting. I think as a resident here, I don't think Mr. Denney knows enough or cares actually about my safety to allow this stuff to go through as it is. Thank you.
Anybody else? Regarding the fire hydrants, how many do we have in the village? Do we know?
84, I think, 86.
In the village?
How many?
84, 86, something like that.
Okay. I was just trying to get a problem solver. I was thinking if somehow community got together and made like sawhorses on either one of them, with just like 2x4s screwed into them, that if fire had to get to them, something like that. Is that something that could be thought? Something simple enough that the fire department could just throw them out away? But just a thought.
I foresee people picking them up and throwing them.
Oh, I'm quite sure too. But again, I'm just trying to
Right.
problem solve rather than figure it out. So, and along with that, that's I'm as a resident and a business owner, I'm want to do what we can to help our community. Then regarding something that was just stated about Nick Holden, I happen to know him, and I would really take offense to it, but I'm not going to let it bother me because of the source that it came from. But I would like anyone on this board to, is this village not look the best? And it's ran the best it has in quite a few years, so that's my 2 cents on it.
Here, here.
Any other public time? If not, I'll entertain one more motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
So moved and seconded to adjourn, all in favor say aye. See everybody at the concert. It's not gonna get rained out
Yeah, 5 o'clock up there.
Thursday night.
Jason Charles for 5 o'clock, they people up there. Okay.
So for the blue launch day, it's going to be whatever Thursday.
Okay. And then how do they go?
Mr. Holden, do you need a ride?
No, it's a nice evening, I go, I will walk. I do feel safe in the village. Thank you, on this site, yeah.
You're welcome. I was gonna say. Yes. Please.
My bike.